Highway 66, a road infamous for its eerie tales. Priya was returning home from a late shift, her car cutting through the thick fog that blanketed the winding road. The night seemed unnaturally silent except for the occasional rustling of leaves and the distant howl of the wind. Her headlights barely illuminated the path ahead, casting long shifting shadows that seemed almost alive. Priya dismissed her growing unease, telling herself it was just her imagination. After all, it was just a highway. Nothing supernatural about that. About 30 minutes into her drive, she noticed a figure standing by the roadside waving frantically. The figure was a young woman, barefoot, with hair hanging messily over her face. Priya slowed down, her instinct to help overriding her apprehension rolling down her window slightly. She asked, "Do you need help?" The woman didn't speak but pointed down the highway. Her eyes, shadowed by her hair, gleamed faintly in the dim light against her better judgment. Priya agreed to drive her to the nearest town. The woman got in her silence, filling the car with an oppressive weight. As they drove, Priya tried to make small talk, but the woman never responded. Instead, she sat unnaturally still, staring straight ahead. Minutes passed, and Priya began to feel an icy chill creeping through the car despite the heater being on full blast. Her rearview mirror fogged up, but when she glanced at it, she froze. The woman wasn't visible in the mirror. Heart pounding, Priya gripped the steering wheel tighter, pretending not to notice. Suddenly, the woman spoke in a whispery voice, "You're going the wrong way." Priya's hands trembled as she glanced at her GPS, which showed her on the right route. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice shaking. The woman turned to face her for the first time, her pale face devoid of any emotion. "They're waiting for you," she said cryptically before vanishing into thin air. Priya slammed on the brakes, her car skidding to a stop in the middle of the deserted highway. Breathing heavily, she looked around, but the woman was gone. She told herself she had imagined it, that the exhaustion from work was playing tricks on her mind. But as she restarted the car and continued driving, she noticed something chilling. A series of faint handprints on the inside of her windshield, slowly fading away. Determined to get off the highway as quickly as possible, Priya sped up. But the road seemed endless, as though it were looping back on itself. The fog thickened and shapes began to form in the distance, human-like figures standing motionless on both sides of the road. Their faces were featureless and their presence suffocating. Priya's terror peaked when one of them stepped onto the road, forcing her to swerve and crash into a tree. When she regained consciousness, it was dawn and the fog had lifted. A passing truck driver found her and called for help. Priya had survived, but the highway had left its mark, a chilling reminder that some roads are best avoided.